What's up, everyone? What's up? Y'all on here? This is Gail Dudley. This is take number 4. This is take 4. Um, One thing for sure, I am not a quitter, so here I am. And I understand there are some difficulties on Facebook, so I'm going to just go with it. And hopefully it will all record. If you have comments as I'm going along, just post the comments in the comment section, and I will respond to you through the comment section. But I'm actually thinking it's hilarious. But it is what it is. I'm going to still get this news out here one way or another. Thank y'all so much for being patient with me. And also, do not get used to the 8 o'clock hour for News in Motion, because that's not normal. It's going to go right back to 7:25 on Monday. So thank y'all for just hanging out, and thank y'all for being patient with me this morning. Again, I cannot see the comments, but I'm going to just go with it, and we're going to see what happens. So I'm going to get through this news one way or another. This has been a long week. I'm glad that today is Friday. This weekend, I'm going to chill and have a great time. I'm going to do my best not to look at any news. If there's something that pops off, those of you who have my cell phone number, send me a text message or inbox me and tell me to turn the news on or something. But I am Gail Dudley with your News in Motion, and today is Friday. It is August the 28th, 2020. So before I even get into the recap piece of this, let me first go to this, what CNN is reporting. CNN is reporting that Jacob Blake is handcuffed to his hospital bed, and that is from family members. Jacob Blake, who remains hospitalized after sustaining multiple injuries. I don't know why CNN wrote it that way. It should said after receiving 7 gunshots in his back. He is now handcuffed to his bed. Blake's uncle told CNN on Thursday that Blake's father visited the hospital where his son is recovering, and he was heartbroken to see his son handcuffed to the bed. So my question is, why handcuffs? His uncle, Justin Blake, says this is an insult to injury. He is paralyzed and can't walk, and they have him cuffed to the bed. And the question is why? And I'm in agreement with that. Why is that happening? Then we have federal agents have been deployed to Kenosha amid continued protests. That's happening. There's more than 200 federal agents and marshals have been deployed to Wisconsin. And that's from a spokeswoman for the Justice Department said late Wednesday. Then with that, a friend of mine, Charmian Todd Boyd, and you probably see this on my Facebook post, my Facebook page, a family friend of theirs, their daughter, who is an activist, was picked up Wednesday night by federal agents in an unmarked black van. So that is happening again, like it happened in Portland. Now, they're saying that that her alleged crime involved getting in good trouble. And then they say that she may have been targeted because of her activism of what's going on. So they're asking, and this is my friend. This is a very good friend of mine. Again, her name is Charmian Todd Boyd. They're asking that you would call the Kenosha Sheriff's Department. So again, I can't see your comments at all, and that's okay. Please do post your comments, because I'm going to come back later when I get off of here and respond to each of you individually. But who's ever on here, if you would put in the comment section this phone number, because they're asking you to please contact the Kenosha Sheriff's Department to demand her release. And her name is Alina Akindes, and her name is Adelana, and her last name is Akindes. If somebody can also type that in. Again, it's Adelana. The last name is Akindes. The phone number to contact to the Kenosha Sheriff's Department to demand her release is 262-605-5111 and then dial 9. Again, thank you, whoever's putting that in there. And if I don't see it, I'll put it in there after the broadcast. But it's 262-605-5111 and then dial 9. We have 2 homicide charges were filed against a 17-year-old. I'm not mentioning his name on this broadcast. In the killings of the protesters. And then I just want to talk a little bit about, as I go into a brief recap of the RNC, Oxford Dictionary, because I wanted to look up the word freedom. I know what it means, but I wanted to look it up based upon the dictionary. So the Oxford Dictionary defines freedom as the state of being able to do what you want without anything stopping you. Freedom of something or freedom of movement, freedom of choice. Merriam-Webster defines freedom as liberation from slavery or restraint or from power of another. And this goes on to say in Merriam-Webster, a political right. So now that we have the framework of what the definition of freedom means, let me go into this RNC. First of all, I'll say it again, the Hatch Act. Every last single federal employee who took part in that on last night, they all need to be investigated. I'll say it that way. I'll make it as nice as possible. There were no mask requirements. There was no social distancing. And to my understanding, everything I've been reading, no tests were required. I am so bothered by last night. I'm extremely bothered by last night. Because if you looked at the teleprompters, if you looked at all the videos, it looked as if that was or is their home. And it's the people's place. It's not a monarchy. That is not their palace. That they are not king and queen. They're none of those things. And it's almost as if it's in our faces. It's like they're sending a message now in your face. We'll do what we want to, when we want to, and we don't care, and there's nothing you can do about it. Someone asked a question. I saw this on both PBS NewsHour, CNN. I even heard this on Fox News last evening when I was going through all my different sources. And they were like, who's going to do something? Who is going to say something? And I believe that's for us to contact our local and state representatives and say, what are you going to do? So yes, last night or this morning about 1:30, I sent an email to Senator Sherrod Brown's office saying, what is going on here and what are you going to do about it? Something needs to be done. We can't be silent. I know there's 67 days left to the election, but no, we just can't let this just go by us. And I think it's time for us to get empowered. It's actually past time for us to get empowered about what we're going to do. I've been saying today marks the end of 11 weeks doing News in Motion. Next week starts week 12. And I've been saying from the beginning, voting is more than just at the election. It's getting them involved. It's going to town hall meetings. It's writing our representatives. It's asking the tough questions, and it's holding people accountable. And it's time for us to do that because last night was very disturbing to me. Very disturbing. There were also protesters outside the White House making themselves heard as he was making his speech. There were 20 speakers, and here are a few names. Franklin Graham, House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Then we had Representative Jeff Van Drew. Now, he was elected as a Democrat. Get this. He was elected as a Democrat, and he switched to a Republican after opposing impeachment. So you're going to switch just because you didn't agree with something? Come on, seriously, y'all. How many times do we have disagreements with people? We just don't drop them. Now, if there's something that's reoccurring and something that you just don't mesh, or you no longer are in agreement with the rules, regulations, the standards, or whatever, then there's a conversation. But you just switch parties because you opposed the impeachment. That doesn't make sense. So I thought that was interesting. Then we had the White House assistant, Dan, the deputy chief of staff for communications. He talked about he's been by Trump's side for 30 years. He said he's a kind and a decent man. I couldn't understand why they kept trying to make that case that he's a decent man. He will help you. He will support you. He will lift you up. I didn't get a lot of that. And then he said he's one of the wealthiest people on the entire planet. We don't know. We can't see his taxes for some reason. Then we had Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. He spoke from Kentucky. Now, he wasn't, up until last Friday, he wasn't speaking. So I'm sure he was told that he was going to speak. So he did speak, and he said it is his responsibility to look out for America. I didn't know that was Mitch McConnell's responsibility. He said, Democrats want to tell you, now get this, and I busted out laughing. He said, Democrats want to tell you what kind of car you can drive, which I never heard that at all, and tell you how many hamburgers you can eat. Did y'all catch that? I'm like, why is he talking about hamburgers? And then I thought, oh, is he talking about former First Lady, my forever First Lady, Michelle Obama, and talking about food and what's healthy and to have your health in check? I don't know, but I thought that was just an odd statement. Again, his quote was, Democrats want to tell you what kind of car you can drive and tell you how many hamburgers you can eat. Say what? And then he said he and the senators are the firewall against Nancy Pelosi's agenda. When you hear words like that, that means you cannot come through here. We don't care what you want to do. We don't care how good it may be for America. We're going to paint you as the bad person, and we're going to paint you as we putting up a firewall and you can't get anything passed. So we still have 30 plus million people without a real benefit, jobless benefit at this moment. Remember, he said he signed executive orders to take care of all of those things. And again, I asked you this question. Have you received your check? Which means those were memorandums. They were not orders. They were not executive orders. So even with that, when he shows his picture and like his signature with his black Sharpie, that was all false. That was a photo op. And y'all, it's time for us to start distinguishing what's true and what's false. We really need to go that deep with this. So that was Senator Majority. Then we had Dana White, president of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. That was interesting. We had Sean Reyes of the Utah Attorney General. We had Debbie Flood. Then we had HUD Secretary Ben Carson. He needs to go back to being a doctor for real. He did mention Blake's family, which I thought, okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Carson, for mentioning Jacob Blake's family. He didn't mention Jacob Blake. He mentioned Jacob Blake's family. Then he talks about Jacob Blake's mom, and then he added to her quote. He said, let's use our hearts, our love, and our intelligence. And then he switched her quote to his own words. He said, America is great when we behave greatly. What? When we behave, now we're going to be dictated to about how we behave. Now, you're talking about freedom. I gave you the definitions of freedom earlier in this news broadcast. Now I'm going to say to you, okay, is it freedom, or are you trying to tell us what to do, how to behave, and how to act? Because now you're contradicting yourselves. And I was going back painfully looking at the past 3 nights prior to last night, and I could see all the disparities and all the code language and what was being said. And I want to really say to you today, and maybe it's the reason why I cannot see your comments at all. Again, I will go through your comments. I will say hello to you when I end the broadcast, when I go in and look at them individually. But I want to say to you, it's time for us, and not saying it, I'm sure those of you who tune in are with me, but it's time for us to really get people to understand the importance of us needing them to register to vote and actually vote. We need to, as I shared yesterday, tell the story. We need to tell our individual stories as to why we vote. We cannot sit at home on this one, y'all. We cannot. We cannot end up with 4 more years. And it was Michael Steele last night. He was on MSNBC at the end, but he made a comment. There's a Washington Post article that's out there where the reporter did a brief interview with Donald Trump. And again, I'm using his name this week. And it was the last line of the answer to a question that the reporter asked Donald Trump. And Donald Trump said, yes, we need 4 more years of him because he has other plans he wants to put in place. And Michael Steele was saying those other plans, everybody should be very concerned about those other plans. I don't know about you, but to see last night and to see that you went against scientists, you went against your doctors, it was a rally. And I noticed even when Ivanka Trump was introducing her father, when she was having her own speech as well, she was waiting for the applause, which says, oh, y'all can't speak without having an applause. And they wanted that. But I also noticed when Ivanka Trump was speaking, people really weren't clapping. People really weren't clapping. When they showed the border wall officers early on, before he pointed them out, and I know I may be jumping around, but I want to bring this point home to go back to Ben Carson. There was a African-American gentleman that was sitting in that section. He had a mask on. One of the, I don't know, and there was different ones, and hopefully it's out there, and hopefully somebody will make a meme on this one. I guess it was a Secret Service person. They had their earplug in, they had their suit on. They signaled to him to remove his mask. I thought that was interesting, which said to me, oh, you want us to see that he's black. I'm sorry, that's where I'm going. I could be wrong and pray that I'm wrong. But I saw them signal him and they were pointing to his mask. And then he looked and he removed his mask. Why? He was protecting himself. He was protecting others around him. But he removed his mask. So when Ben Carson says, America is great when we behave greatly, what does that mean? And then they continue to say freedom, faith, and prosperity, yet they continue to say law and order. Isn't that a contradiction? These are the kind of questions we need to be asking, and these are the kind of questions we need to be raising with people who are saying they're either not going to vote, or their voice isn't going to be heard, or they're voting XYZ. We need to have the conversation. Then Rudy Giuliani came out, former New York mayor and Trump's personal attorney, trying to make the case that of any Democrats in office have chaos in the cities and states. Again, that has been debunked. That is not true. That is false. He said Joe Biden is a Trojan horse with AOC, and that's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Nancy Pelosi, Bernie, and the Black Lives Matter. And then he went after saying they hijacked us, and then they started riots. Not true. There has been some statistics that came out that through the most recent protests, and they went all the way back to January, that there has not been one Black Lives Matter of part of the organization or part of their volunteers that have been arrested or known for throwing anything into windows, rioting, or looting. Let that sink in. But now they're not telling you that. They're not telling you that, yes, there have been riots, and yes, there has been looting, and yes, there has been violence. But the question is, who is stirring that up? Those are questions we need to ask. Okay, he says, this is still Rudy Giuliani. Businesses burned, people beaten, progressive Democrat mayors is under their watch. That's fear-mongering, y'all. He goes, future under Biden is ongoing riots every day and looting and crime to release prisoners and bring lawlessness to your city, town, and to your suburbs. Y'all, those were all code words. My blood was boiling last night, but I kept watching because I wanted to hear what they were saying so that I knew how to communicate with other people as we're going forward in this 67 days. Patrick Lynch, the president of the Police Benevolent Association, spoke. Senator Tim Cotton, he talked about how Joe Biden cuddles dictators. What? Let's talk about the occupant of the Oval, Donald Trump, whose buddies are Kim Jong-un and Putin. Come on, for real? For real. Then Alice Johnson, and I want to, I'm very excited for Alice Johnson. I really am, and she is a powerful speaker. I'm like, and she also says she became a minister while she was incarcerated. I'm like, I want to hear her preach, because she was like, yeah. I was like, okay, I'm following this, until she got to the other stuff. Now I want to say this about her. She was the ex-inmate who was pardoned by Donald Trump. She was a great speaker last night, y'all. She probably was the best one throughout the entire week. Now, this is where I got sad. And y'all know I'm a softie. And I tweeted Kim Kardashian last night. Because there was no mention of the work of Kim Kardashian. If it wasn't for Kim Kardashian, she would still be in jail, because she wouldn't even be known. She wouldn't even be known. No one would even know her name. Meaning us, except for her family and friends and her small group. No one else would know her. And I thought it was very sad that she did not even mention, even if she could not mention her name for whatever reason, but even saying, with the help of people behind the scenes who brought light to this, for Donald Trump to pardon me. And then she could have talked about the relationship that she has or had or whatever with Donald Trump. But I actually felt for Kim Kardashian, because Kim Kardashian put her foot in this and made sure she brought attention to Alice Johnson. And I did. I tweeted Kim Kardashian last night. Yes, I did. Then we had Ivanka Trump. And I'm almost done, y'all. We had Ivanka Trump, who's the senior advisor and daughter of the president. Then she made this quote: "My father's tweets may be unfiltered, but the results speak for themselves." I'm still trying to pick apart what that meant. Then they both kept talking about very soon vaccine. But I'll tell y'all what, I won't be the first person in line getting anything this soon. Everyone has said, this is too soon. This is unheard of. We can't even get it under control. Speaking of that, let me give y'all these numbers real quick, and then I'll go back to the rest of that. Coronavirus numbers: 6,046,634 cases, 184,796 deaths, 3,347,940 have recovered. Again, I go through the World Health Organization. I bypass the CDC. So you have over 180,000 deaths, and now you're talking about you're just going to quickly throw in this vaccine. It doesn't work like that, y'all. It does not work like that. And then she talked about, and I don't know, and hopefully, and if any of you have this, please put it in the comment sections. Again, I can't see the comments at all. But I will go back through and communicate with each of you. But here's my question. My question is, did any of y'all know that he lifted out of poverty 600,000 women? I'm not finding that. So if one of you know where that is, please send me a link. I have looked at many sources. I'm not finding that. I'm not finding that at all. Yeah. She's talking about people being treated unfairly when it comes to racial disparity, but she never mentioned George Floyd, Jacob Blake, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, any of them. Then Trump came out. Again, like that was their palace, their monarchy. Now, he did mention Hurricane Laura. But then he took credit, talking about this was the lowest deaths of a hurricane, and it was a massive hurricane. So good job, everybody. Good job, FEMA. Huh? What? I don't get that. That's a narcissist, okay? Then he said that he's producing a life-saving vaccine soon. He goes at the end of the year. He goes actually before the end of the year. I'm not taking it, and I don't recommend it to anybody else, and I'm not a doctor, so I shouldn't say that. He talked about criminals who threaten our citizens. But here's my question. What about the unarmed black men, y'all? What about the unarmed black men? He said the Democrats, they see a wicked nation that is to be punished for our sins. He goes, Joe Biden is not the savior of America's souls. He is a destroyer of jobs. Then he talked about, God and his way of talking about God. And for whatever reason, when I was sitting there praying, y'all, and I have to be honest with y'all, many times I was sitting there going, God, help me understand what's happening. And as I was praying at one point, I was really praying at one point last night, y'all. And God took me to Exodus chapter 20, verse 7, which says, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. The two operative words in this verse are Lord. So I just want y'all to know that those are the two operative words. Then I looked up what does it mean to use the Lord's name in vain, because I wanted to know, y'all. I was really seeking last night, and what I came up with is the misuse of taking in vain the name of God of Israel, or using his name to commit evil or to pretend to serve him, to serve in his name while failing to do so. So I saw that. Then he goes on and he says, I've done more for African Americans, than any president. I want to quote him correctly. And then he says, I've done more for the black community than Joe Biden has done for 47 years. Now, real question, y'all, and again, put this in the comment section. What has Donald Trump done? What has he done for the black community? I really want to know. I'm not being funny. I really want to know. Maybe I'm missing something. I really want to know. Then he gave this quote that they have to get back to work. They have to get back to school. But I went straight to Forbes.com because I have a source there, and I looked up some numbers. Y'all, the University of Alabama's main campus in Tuscaloosa had a recording of 531 total COVID cases in the past 2 weeks. Nearly 160 University of Missouri students tested positive. USC has experienced an alarming increase of numbers. Excuse me. This past Sunday, Georgia Institute of Technology reported 51 new cases in combination with 302 a few weeks before that. The University of Kansas has confirmed 89 new cases at these universities. So he keeps saying put them back in school. But we have a pandemic, y'all. We have a challenge. I don't know what's happening. I really don't know what's happening. So when I watched the RNC this past week, I have a lot of questions. And these are the questions I think all of us can start asking or talking about when we're encouraging people to register to vote. Y'all know I no longer give the last day to register to vote, but I will say this: get people registered before October. Get people registered before October. They can go to iwillvote.com. They can go to rockthevote.org. They can go to vote.gov. You can go to vote.org. You can go to whenweallvote.org. You can even go to readypublication.com and click the Ready to Vote campaign icon. Y'all, we need to get people registered to vote, like immediately. And then we need to make sure they vote. Y'all, that's where a plan comes in. I'm not talking about duplicating what some other organization is already doing, but I am saying that together we need to come up with a plan. How are you voting? Excuse me. By now, you should already know how you're voting. Are you voting by mail? If so, have you requested your absentee ballot? If you have not, do that today. Do it today. Don't delay. The moment you get your absentee application in the mail, complete it and turn it back in the same day. Actually take it to the actual voter registration department. Take it. Hand deliver it. We're not trusting the mail right now. We can't. We don't know. We did not see any blue boxes come back. We did not see any sorting machines come back. DeJoy, the Postmaster General, said he wasn't doing it anyway. That's what he did. That's what he testified to last Friday. Believe him. Believe that he's not going to do it, which means we have to be smart, have a plan, and do something immediately. Yes, I am begging you. I am begging you. It is that important. It's that important, people. We have to do it. If you're going to stand in line on November 3rd, then you stand in line. and don't get out of the line. If you are in line, and let me say this now, if you are in line, I don't care if the polls close at 7 and you've been in line since 5. Do not get out of line. Do not get out of line. That you can be in line till 7 o'clock the next morning because you were in line before the polls close. They still have to allow you that opportunity to vote. So y'all, we have to be smart. I think it was Antoinette who talked about, this is her idea, to have food trucks on the premises, on parking lots, so that people can eat. You know, drive up. We have to have a plan, y'all. We have to have a plan. Vote early. In Ohio, early voting starts October the 6th. I will be in line on October the 6th to vote. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care. And then also sign up to become a poll worker. Y'all sign up. You can go to eac.gov to become a poll worker. And I'm still not done. Thank y'all for hanging in here with me. Even after all the technical difficulties this morning, I still cannot see your comments. So good morning to all of you. But I will look at comments when I'm done. With that said, Trump had the nerve to say that during the Democrats' convention, under God was never mentioned. Then he goes on to say it was removed from the Pledge of Allegiance. That's a lie. No, it's not. And no, it wasn't. And there are plenty of videos to show that they did not remove under God from the Pledge of Allegiance. That didn't happen. Then he said that on day one, but he never mentioned, I don't know if y'all caught this, but he never mentioned Kamala Harris. He never mentioned her. She got in his head. And that was a phenomenal speech she gave yesterday afternoon, the pre-buttal. I never heard of that, but the pre-buttal. She got in his head. I know she did. She had to mess with his head. Actually, I used to do that. I was a swimmer. Sidebar real quick. I was a swimmer. I used to race competitively. Freestyle, breaststroke, and backstroke. I was the bomb. I still hold records. Yes, I do. Yep, that's me. Black woman back then. Black girl, actually, back then. And if Diane Ladybug is on here, and again, I don't know if my brother's on here, if my sister's on here, y'all know I was a swimmer. I could swim. When we would have meets, and my brother will tell you this, when we would have meets, I would identify who's in my heat. I would identify them. I would walk around. Ladybug knows this to be true. I would walk around and I would get in their head. And it worked. Because I'm the one that still holds records in this city. And I'm 55. And that was when I was 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I still hold those records. I would identify the people, white, black, whatever, and I would intimidate. I would get in their head. I would sit down and say, "What you doing today? Did you rest?" I would mess with them. And that's pretty much what Kamala did yesterday with her pre-buttal. She did, but he never mentioned her. He did not mention her one time yesterday, which means she got in his head. So he was saying that Biden on day one will be releasing 400,000 criminals onto the streets and into your neighborhoods and to your suburbs. Y'all, that was fear. That's code language. That's code language. Why would he say such a thing? And it's not even true. That's what bothers me, y'all. And then he says, no one, absolutely, his quote, absolutely no one will be safe in Biden's America. That's what he said. Then he said Kenosha, which I thought was so horrible that he said this. And this was him ending his speech. He said Kenosha is a Democratic-ran city filled with crime. He said those words, y'all. I am mad about that. But he never mentioned Jacob Blake. He never even mentioned the 17-year-old who murdered 2 people and injured many. But he had the nerve to say that, y'all, don't miss this. Don't miss this. Quick fact check, and I got these from several, and Rachel Maddow said a few of them. Anderson Cooper said a few of them. Wolf Blitzer said a few of them. Here's fact check. And these are just a few. Fact checkers are still checking his speech. And already they've seen so many misleading, over 40 misleading or false statements. There are no approved life-saving therapies for COVID-19. We have a failed testing system. And remember, the CDC is now cutting who can be tested. So y'all got to remember that. Y'all got to remember when y'all hear something, go and find other sources. He says that there was 300 new miles of wall built. No, there are not. There's only 3 miles of wall built. Only 3 miles. There's not 300. He lied. He has not ended any war. The troops are not coming home. He just sent troops. He just sent troops to Afghanistan like 3 weeks ago. Y'all, he talked about how Biden will cut any insurance for pre-existing conditions to be covered. Remember, they're in court right now trying to overturn the Affordable Care Act, where Trump and his administration is trying to end insurance for people with pre-existing conditions. He's doing that, y'all. He's doing it. It's currently in court. Just look it up. Don't take my word for it, y'all. Look it up. He's currently doing this. Hey, and get this. The New York Police Department has not endorsed him. As of yesterday, they have not endorsed him. And then it was Obama who signed the Veterans Choice Act. Obama did that, y'all. Obama. So as I wrap up today, again, thank y'all for being patient during, that's why it says take 4 in the description. I still can't see your comments. I don't know who's on here. I will view all the comments afterwards, and I will comment specifically to you. I'm sure IG has probably kicked me to the curb, so I'm not even going to go to IG today. They just going to be mad. Maybe I will. We'll see. We'll see. But y'all, for the win, Trevor Noah. He gets the win today. He spent some money this week. Ahead of the president's acceptance speech for the Republican presidential nominee at the Republican National Convention on Thursday. And this is in USA Today. This is in thehill.com. This is in Politico. The Daily Show and Trevor Noah took out full-page print ads in the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Los Angeles Times, and Mashable reports. And he says, "Are you a soon-to-be ex-president?" That's what one of the ads say. And then it goes, "About to lose legal immunity?" That was another question he posted. He says, "Has your lawyer gone to jail?" That was another question that they posted. Then he says, "Call the very fine people on your side." So Trevor Noah was just in his head with these full-page ads. So he gets the win. Y'all, in all sincerity, and I had to look at that and I wanted to wrap it up this way. It was a long week. It was a long week, but I made the commitment that I was going to watch it and report it to all of you. Hopefully, I did a great job for you all. Hopefully, you are learning how to check your own sources. Hopefully, you are looking into what we need to do. Y'all, there are 67 days. There are 67 days. We need to contact as many people as we can. A friend of mine, Rich Cosby is doing what he's calling circles. He said, look at your circle of influences and check on them. Don't just make the assumption that everyone's registered to vote. He said, ask the question and then get that circle of people to ask another circle of people if they're registered. Then ask them what's their plan, meaning their plan. What are you going to do? Do you have a plan of action for voting? Are you going to do absentee? If so, then ask them the next questions if they have requested their application, and if they have, once they receive it, make sure they send it back. Y'all, we all got to be held accountable for each other to make sure we are voting. Y'all. It's important. My inspirational message is self-care. After a week that we've had, if any of you tuned in to any of it or seen any of the news, been dealing with just the grieving of Jacob Blake, y'all, self-care. If you do not follow Demia Candai, and I don't know if she's on here or not, Demia Candai posted a picture of her daughter dancing. And I've seen her daughter do this dance. I believe it was at Westerville High School, if I'm not mistaken. And Demia, correct me if I'm wrong. But I didn't see that dance like that, like I saw it on yesterday. I was bawling. And it was like the dance of her daughter was displaying what so many of us are feeling. And y'all, we got to do something. Self-care. I don't watch so much news. I cannot watch it today. I can't. I'm going to rely on y'all. If there's something that pops off, text me, inbox me, whatever, let me know, and I'll check it out and I'll post it. Y'all, we got to really pray for LeBron James, and I'm going to tell you why. Because he is putting some serious money into this election. He is putting some serious... It's a multi-million-dollar program for poll workers. A lot of the NBA teams are opening up their arenas. Actually, it was Atlanta Hawks who started it first with State Farm Arena in Atlanta, where they are opening up and they are training the State Farm Arena workers to become poll workers. They want to make sure everyone votes. LeBron James is continuously putting money. He's continuously highlighting things. I really want to meet him. If somebody on here knows how I can connect with him, he and I need to connect with this voting. Look, I'm putting that out there. It says you have not because you ask not. So I'm putting it out there. He's doing a lot. Trevor Noah's doing a lot. There are people out here that are really supporting. Let's get behind them. I got to give it up for our girl, Meghan Markle. She's not playing around. The Duchess of Sussex. She's not playing around. She is doing a lot of interviewing, talking about voting. Y'all, there's plans already out there. And hear this. To have ads and to put things out there, we have to support whatever party you choose to support. So if you know a candidate is running and you know they need some money, y'all, believe it or not, $1 or $2 work. It really does. So give money to these candidates, y'all. If you support them, give money so that they have a platform to stand on. All right, y'all, that's all I have. That is all I have for today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for hanging out with me with all the difficulties from this morning. We go back to 7:25 on Monday, 7:25 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday. Thank you. I will get to all of your comments today and will respond. Yeah, my girl is still in the house and I can hear her around the corner. Yeah, my girl's been home for a few days. Y'all know I love my daughter. She's like, Mom, support you. If anybody wants to give, as I continue to research, you can cash at me at the $ MIM today. That's M as in Mary, I, M as in Mary today. This is a ministry for me. I'm loving every moment of it. And if you want to give it another way and you don't have Cash App, just ask me. If you want to sponsor a segment, just ask me because I can do that as well. I can sponsor your service or your product. Y'all have a great weekend. Thanks again for hanging out. I am Gail Dudley signing off with your News in Motion on Friday, August the 28th, 2020. Peace out.